Parallel World Pharmacy. Kanji Yakutani, an assistant professor at the University of Japan, receives a representative from a pharmaceutical business while he is working on his computer. Yakutani requests to be taken to a different room, and he joins him there to talk about his studies. After some time, he resumes using the computer while taking his medication. He cries after seeing his sister's picture. A tumor caused his sister to pass away. He does various tests in the lab while keeping a handwritten record of the experiment's time. He slept after setting an alarm for 46 minutes. He is asleep in the office when his secretary walks in. He is not working. When Yakutani opens his eyes, he sees himself as Master Pharma, a 10-year-old boy. He has a maid named Charlotte, who is a lovely young lady. She asks him to address her as Lot. When Pharma removed his shirt, she washed his garments. His arm has a mark named Lichtenberg, which Lot notices. Lot prays because it indicates that the medicine god Panactheos has shielded Pharma from lightning. Yakutani, presently known as Pharma, verifies everything Lot told him about himself. She informs him that he is a member of the Saint Fleuve Empire-based de Médicis dynasty. His father, Master Bruno de Médicis, is the president of an imperial pharmaceutical school and an archduke. Pharma's father has high expectations for both of his sons, not only as pharmacists but also as divine artists. Pharma's mother is Beatrice, his younger sister is named Blanche, and his older brother, Mr. Prahl, is currently studying abroad. Lot warns Pharma that if he can't master divine arts, he will be expelled from the family because Pharma is ignorant of them. While the mark on his arm sparkles and water bursts from his palms, Pharma considers the water formula. His hands were extended out the window. Little serves as a reminder of how familiar he has always been with pharmacies. At the dinner table, his parents and sister teach him the rules of decorum. He accurately responds to inquiries about pharmacy from his father. Eleanor Bonnefoy, his father's pupil, instructs him in the heavenly arts and takes him outside to put them into practice. Water launches were also fired. Ellen urges him to never use the divine power meter in front of anyone and to only use a small amount of divine power at a time. Ellen tells Pharma to use her fingers to make little circles after her glasses crack. He understands that by drawing little circles in his eyes, he can see any harm. The fact that Pharma has no shadow disturbs Ellen. Episode 2. Ellen takes a 1-month break from her studies without providing Bruno with a reason. Bruno instructs him to administer a potion to Ellen. He delivers the potion to her at her residence. He makes Ellen feel scared when she first sees him, but he implores her to stay and instruct him. Additionally, he gives her blue flowers. The following day, Ellen joins Pharma to instruct him and express her gratitude for the flower arrangement in medicine. He learns a lot about the heavenly arts from her. Pharma makes a circle with his fingers over his eyes as he examines a large number of people. He can detect sickness or pain in any area of the body in this way. After noticing eczema on her hands, he creates a lotion for Lot. She is quite appreciative of him because he had never experienced such care or attitude. Pharma commits to using his expertise in drug production to assist those who cannot afford them. He understands that the death rate is rising daily and that low-class people lack access to healthcare owing to societal prejudice. When Pharma learns that his sister has chickenpox, his parents warn him not to approach her. He thinks about the chickenpox medication. He makes an effort to create the medication using his supernatural abilities. He sneaks into her room to administer her medication. Pharma is informed by Blanche that he has changed. He advises him to maintain secrecy. She quickly makes a full recovery, shocking Bruno as well. Episode 3. When Pharma's father calls to tell him about the trip to the Queen, who is afflicted with a terrible illness, he is contemplating himself. To treat the Queen, they travel to the palace. Her situation is critical. Through the use of his heavenly abilities, Pharma checks her and discovers that she has pulmonary tuberculosis and lung cancer. The young son of the Queen arrives and starts to cry when he sees his mother. Pharma approaches the Queen and asks her to heal her. Bruno tries to stop him from doing foolish things, but the Queen is adamant. Pharma prepares medicine when his father enters the room and inquires about him. When he learns that the god of medicine has given his son a gift, he is astonished. Pharma gives the Queen the medication and educates everyone about bacteria. Bruno laments not knowing his son on the walk back to his house. Pharma asks his father to keep guiding him, even though he has powers from heaven, because he still needs it. Episode 4. The White Plague and new medications are being discussed by Pharma and Bruno 3 months after the Queen's checkup. Pharma asserts that useful information needs to be disseminated everywhere. Pharma receives authorization to visit the Queen for medical attention. A young child asks Pharma what prize the Queen should give him. He declares that he wants to open a drugstore free from prejudice. In addition, he spends a lot of time encouraging the Queen. She finds his comments impressive. Every person, according to Pharma, will eventually die, but one can live better in the hereafter. The Queen fully recovers after a few months, and she gives Pharma the title of First Court Pharmacist. She also permits him to start a drugstore. Falco is educating the staff about the pharmacy's layout. They quickly built the pharmacy. Pharma is now considering the pharmacy's name. A baron is the guild master for the empire. Pharma is mocked by him for being a tiny pharmacist. Lot is delighted to learn that Pharma and Ellen have decided to give her the position of accountant. When Pharma visits the palace of the Queen, he learns that Sir Cedric would be leaving his position as the mansion's manager. Sir Cedric suffers from knee pain. Pharma offers to help him. He wants him to provide him with the pharmacy's finance charge as well. Pharma receives a sizable gift from me, Bruno. Episode 5. When Lot enters, Pharma and Ellen are debating the drugstore when he tells them that he has surveyed to collect input from the pharmacy. Many people have grievances against pharmacists. A senior citizen visits the pharmacist to purchase a sailor's candy. Pharma treats him with respect. Pharma recognizes me even if Bruno and I are disguised when we enter the pharmacy. When Bruno visits the pharmacy, Pharma takes him to various floors. Additionally, he informs Bruno that customers do not visit the drugstore. Bruno rejects his mother's idea that he produce pharmaceutics in response to their demand. Pharma is afterwards invited by a man to visit a young woman to see how she is doing. Pharma goes over to look at her body. He just notices minor scars from bloodletting on her body. She claims that she wants to have white skin to win over her beloved. Pharma urges her not to use any skin-whitening cosmetics. He produces a foundation for lightening skin. His cosmetic items smash all previous records for popularity. Every lady needs makeup. Pharma is given the option to create a subsidiary. They are currently being praised everywhere. Episode 6. Bruno is given control of the noble baron area of Marceau. He has trade discussions with his staff. Along with Lot and his sister, Pharma, they visit the beach. Both of them want to enter the water, but Pharma disapproves. Ellen visits the location as well and tempts Pharma. He recalls the memories of his old life, when his sister passed away from illness while he watches his sister play. He hurried to save Blanche from the sea, and she started to drown as he was lost in meditation. He fears that he may once more lose his sister, but by utilizing the power of heavenly art, he can save his sister. Several individuals are chit-chatting about Pharma and his sea-born display of might. They are instructed by their captain to locate Pharma as quickly as possible. A sizable crowd is gathered in front of the pharmacy. Two men are seeking Pharma, who are dressed in white. They have a sinister appearance and resemble temple priests. The pharmacy was struck by some trolleys the following morning. Cedric assists Pharma in cleaning the pharmacy. To assist Pharma, Jean, an elderly guy, arrives with a group of lads. A young woman rushes the pharmacist and pleads for assistance. She claims that her dad passed out. She takes Pharma with her, and when they go to a remote location, some inquisitors show up. They plan to murder Pharma. Episode 7. Pharma is attacked by the inquisitors using a variety of materials, but he manages to save himself. He constructs a wall of defense around himself. He is reminded of Ellen's advice regarding inquisitors. They bow down to Pharma and ask for forgiveness after realizing that he is the god of medicine. Pharma saves their boss from suicide when he tries to commit it. One of the men's legs is operated on and treated by Pharma. They bestow upon them an enormous fortune. He receives a presentation of a holy stick from a brand new temple priest. The priest asserts that Pharma is not a local human after witnessing Pharma's abilities. He provides Pharma with a talisman that can negate divine forces. After retaining the talisman, he regains his shadow. Instead of joining the pharmaceutical guild, he decides to create his own guild. Episode 8. The members of the pharmacy guild are discussing their dispensaries. They assert that they will destroy Pharma's dispensary as a result of the pharmacy's declining sales. A man asks Pharma to heal the girl while carrying her on his back. Pharma examines her thoroughly and heals her. He scans her physique with his eyes. He explains to the man that the girl has influenza. The man tells his wife about Pharma and the dispensary after returning home and being amazed by Pharma's behavior. They demolish his store after he praises Pharma in front of them. He is also from the opposing guild. Then he opened a drugstore once more with Pharma's assistance. His store is called Dawn of Pharmacy. Episode 9. In a terrifying dream, Bruno sees some people killing him. He is afraid when he awakens. He and Pharma are then having a conversation when his son Parnell's letter arrives. He reports that an infectious illness outbreak has occurred in his nation. When Pharma hears this, he begins to think about it. The de Médicis family's eldest son, Paul, informs Bruno that the colonial island of Madeira, which is located in a region near the imperial capital, has been stricken by a peculiar illness, and that, as a result of the outbreak, all of the island's residents have died. As he frets over the upcoming Saint Fleur fair, which will shortly take place in the imperial capital, Pharma comes to mind. He is becoming more familiar with the common symptoms and signs that people with rare illnesses display. The queen wants to confer the title of noble baron on Pharma, but Lot reminds her that this is against the law because Pharma is still a minor. Ellen and Bruno Pharma discuss the epidemic and the Black Death. Pharma claims to have already made the antidote. To locate the cure, he travels to an afflicted nation. Episode 10. When Pharma and Ellen arrive in Marseille, they separate the foreign ships. Additionally, they check out the crew and cargo and provide them with medications. The people on board assault them as they return. Jean arrives in the interim and stops them. A man announces that a village has experienced a significant number of fatalities owing to fever. After assigning Ellen all of her obligations, Pharma travels to that village. Illegal ships are prepared to depart when he arrives in the village. He begs them to remain, but they become enraged. Pharma uses ice to encase the village. As they approach the ship, dead bodies are seen all over it, and Jane notices another's. In a pharmacy school, two men are conversing with a medical assistant sign. To save people from disease, they destroy the boat. Episode 11. Two men are talking when a woman approaches and offers to help. They decline and leave. The elderly lady is Professor Karps. Pharma sees the location where the majority of the diseased individuals are kept in the contaminated village. Using his abilities, he examines them and administers care. Pharma is highly praised by other doctors. Professor Karps is summoned by the Lord Principal, who requests her research. He asks her to conduct some microbial species investigations. He also strengthens her discoveries. After looking through the sample, Ellen instructs them to call Pharma. The enemy is attacking them in the meantime. They spotted several enormous squirrels as well. They are primarily responsible for the spread of the Black Death. Episode 12. The alarm goes off while the queen is in her palace. A man arrives, bearing word of the coming of the Holy Night. Bruno tells the queen a story about a former genius pharmacist. He had various gruesome encounters, was caught by inquisitors, and had his divine art stolen. He tested poison on a large number of people. This man's name was Camus de Seto, and Mr. O considered him a classmate and friend. While Pharma is approaching, Holy Knights attack the city. After a brutal battle, army forces capture the Holy Knights. Pharma notices a shadow on the pharmacy roof that is dark. The shadow attempts to murder Lot and a man. Bruno battles the darkness, and Pharma is successful in curing Lot. He uses his heavenly abilities to eliminate the darkness as well. They'd all live happily and work in a pharmacy until the end, when Lot gives hugs to Pharma every day and they receive a large number of patrons.